So today we're beginning with a topic at the forefront of every Nigerian's mind, the critical struggle with food inflation. Now, this crisis, driven by the fuel subsidy removal, high transport costs and insecurity on our highways, has made putting a meal on the table a daily challenge for millions. Just this Wednesday, the government announced a new response. President Bola Tinubu has ordered a special committee to move swiftly on measures to further reduce food prices across the country. So the urgent question we're asking today is, will this new directive be enough? Can the government effectively control these soaring prices? And to help us unpack this, we're joined in the studio with Ibrahim Garba, the National Publicity Secretary of the All Farmers Association. You're highly welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for joining us this morning.
All right, so I would like to dive right into it in respect to, this recent directive, by President Bola Tinubu aimed at, reducing the food prices. So what does it entail, should I say, and with, should I say, from a policy standpoint, how feasible are these measures going to be by the federal government, and do we have resources or institutional structures to implement them effectively? With everything pronounced, they have to be, driven all the way to the end, to the T. Can they be implemented properly? So from your own standpoint, what is your take?
Oh, thank you very much. We at our level, we are very good listeners. When there is a directive or an intervention by the federal government, yes, it is natural that at our level, as All Farmers Association of Nigeria, the umbrella body of more than 80 commodity associations across Nigeria, we receive it. We sift through information, every information that comes. But at the same time, is all about, forming a synergy between us and the federal government and implementers of this policy. Because you cannot operate in a vacuum. You need people that will step down this information. And I'll use this opportunity to tell you that Mr. President mean well for Nigerians by setting up this presidential committee to, work on food crisis, on how we can mitigate information is a bold step. Very few people can take that. And another thing I would like to let you know is that as a body of farmers, we are in sync with the federal government on whatever is happening. But there is a gap, artificial gap between us, the real farmers, and the federal government. What I mean by real farmers, not necessarily people who call them quote-unquote portfolio farmers. Those in the agri-value chain. We have the cocoa farmers, the rice farmers, the wheat farmers, and all that, lots of commodity associations. So do we have direct interface? Are they listening? We are coming to that point. And I'm glad that you called for this meeting, rather for this interview, because we want people to listen to us. We want the government to listen to us, what we are doing, aside this government intervention. But it's a policy issue. If government make pronouncement, we want to see how it's being implemented. But if you checked when they were taking this decision, do we have representative or do we have representation there at that level? Was my president, Dr. Farouk Rabiu Modi, invited as a major critical stakeholder? Because we have 2 million farmers. The largest employer of labor in the country today is AFAN. So if you don't have a representation, at least at the highest level there, whatever policies we're introducing, somehow, I will not say it's laughable, but it may not go down well with the major stakeholders. And that is why sometimes when these policies are being dished out, as media practitioners, you have to follow it. Is it fully implemented? Is it impactful? These are the questions we keep throwing out to media practitioners. But on our part, we are working daily, to make sure that Nigerians feed very well, our farmers are protected. We have the yields, we have the produce, in our farms. but we have challenges, which, if you permit, we will mention that we discuss about this thing extensively.
Okay, so can you go ahead and mention the challenges so as to know?
Okay. Now, first thing first, which is the farm inputs, which is, to me, very, very expensive. Has it been subsidized? If you can subsidize the cost of fuel, the food you eat, or rather all of us eat here, is it subsidized? Okay, for instance, you purchase a bag of fertilizer for, say, 75,000 naira per bag, and you need 6 bags of fertilizers for 1 hectare of farm. If at the end of the day, what is the amount of produce? If it's, let's say, maize, for instance, you're farming, how many bags can you harvest at the end of the day? Can you get up to 10 bags? Now go and find out the cost of maize today in the market. It's below 30,000 naira. So who is losing? The farmers are losing. That is why if your produce comes out, you warehouse it. We are not hoarding these commodities. You warehouse it in a way that when the season peaks, you sell your produce sometimes, as much as 100,000 per bag and all that. But whereas there's government intervention, especially for inputs, the cost of commodities naturally will go down, and farmers will be smiling to the bank because we are in business. Then secondly, we have about 17 silos today across the nation, just 17. And in a year, we produce as much as 50 million tons of, yields or produce. These 50 million tons, the silos which you have about 17 million can take only 1.5 million. So there's excess. So there's a need for government to look at this thing holistically, because even the silos you have, they are not well managed. They are in the hands of government officials. They are not, we don't have access to some of these silos. So there's a lot of problems within the system, of which we want to sit down, have a dialogue with Mr. President. We don't want to have this indirect communication, then at the end of the day, it doesn't get to him and he cannot implement. We want to work with him, want to salvage the nation. So it's crisis time, and that is why they say, okay, let us form this executive committee, let us disburse money, let us talk about crashing food prices, let us open, no. Talk to us at AFAN level. We'll give you, the solutions to some of these crises on a daily basis affecting the Nigerian farmer and the consumer, because you and I go to the market to purchase items.
Okay.
All right. So you spoke about food hoarding. So some, should I say, critics would say that price control can backfire when it comes to it. So leading to hoarding and, black markets. So how should the government balance price regulation with free market principles? It cannot all be regulated or controlled at this point. And sometimes that could be pushing, the marketers in making sure that they hoard and store without making people...
We are talking about commodities.
Absolutely.
We are not talking about oil and gas. We are talking about what you eat.
Farm produce.
Farm produce.
Absolutely.
How can you tell me this is what I'm going to sell my produce? I go to the supermarket now. There are bags of rice. There are bags of this beans and all that. Go to the market and purchase this. Are you going to tell the market man or market woman? Are you going to dictate to them how they sell their produce? These are things we eat on a daily basis. But you can do that for natural gas. You have the Dangote refineries that they are battling between them and PPPRA to fix prices and all. That is not my business here. What matters to me is, if you have to fix commodity prices, first, find out from the farmers. Look, it's a very simple arithmetic. That's why I say, start with the farm inputs. We have varieties of them. If you crash it, if for instance, if you can sell a bag of fertilizer, 18,000, 20,000, there will be multiple yields. There will be a lot of harvest. You don't need, because it's a subject of market forces of demand and supply. If there's enough in the market, the prices go down. But I will not produce. You will not do that. Go to the farm. Bring out your rice. If somebody will say, come and sell it 40,000. Then government will bring their own price and say, we're selling it 35,000. You are at war with us. We will not tolerate that. But whereas there's a direct interface between we, the farmers, and the federal government, honestly, it's going to be a win-win situation. We are not losers, and we don't intend to lose.
All right. Okay. So now, to what extent do you think insecurity and poor logistics infrastructure is contributing to food price inflation in the country?
Very good question. You have mentioned it all. So bandits have taken over our farms, and the whole thing has been so politicized. I'm not here to talk about politics, but as media practitioners, you know, you have been doing a lot of reporting around that environment. We have, you know, there's a bill before Mr. President, especially that bill on the introduction of a forest guard. Of recent, Mr. President also talked about community policing and all that. You don't need to deploy the army, the navy, to this forest because they don't know this forest. Okay? In the last budget, if I can recall, almost $1 billion was voted for insecurity because of how many bandits? How many of them in the bush? We are pushing this money down. When ordinarily, if you deploy forest guards, you deploy the NSCDC, and you deploy, you know, this vigilante, honestly, this banditry you are talking about will be a thing of the past. That's on one side. Then number two, we suspect, you know, sponsorship. If as a Nigerian or a public servant, you are aware of the security situation we have in the country today, what is your first thing? First, your passion for Nigeria. What am I going to do to create, or rather, to bring down insecurity? You have the mandate as the chief of defense staff, chief of, you know, all these army, or rather, this security personnel which we have at the highest level under the watch of NSA, Malam Nuhu Ribadu. They are responsible they have been given the responsibility to fight this banditry and all that. Are we seeing positive results? The answer is no. They are doing well, but they need to improve. Otherwise, we're still going back to, you know, what happened in previous years during President Jonathan. So the best way forward is we don't need to we don't need to blow this thing out of proportion. It's something that we can manage as Nigerians. But if we want to do well, we must deploy the right personnel that knows the terrain. The military may not know the terrain. All they need is give us information, we'll go and shoot them down. No. You know, these are human beings. They can be arrested and all that. They're killing them and all that. But it's impacting negatively on the farmers because there is pressure on farming. There's pressure on farmers. Remember, they don't have any occupation but farming. It's of recent that people, you know, some of the civil servants are coming into farming. People are even involved in urban farming now, which is good. But if we must focus on, if we want to improve on the insecurity, let it be a holistic approach. And at the same time, let us speak to it in a way and manner that Nigerians will believe that, yes, you are doing this on their behalf, because there are some ungoverned spaces around this country today which government is not aware of. So it's something that the government, the private sector, the farmers, there should be a roundtable, at least for once. Let's address this issue. It's not just farmers. I'm talking about the body of the farmers. My president should be there. The secretary should be there. I should be there. Let's look at ourselves eyeball to eyeball and tell ourselves the truth. If you are doing well, we'll tell you. We'll tell you where you are doing wrong. You know, it's not about voting money. You know, of recent, you know it, or rather your station carried here where recent, I think yesterday, the vice president, you know, voting 250 billion for as agri loan to farmers. I don't want to talk much about it, but for now, let's see how this thing will trickle down and get to the farmers.
Okay, lots of Nigerians agree that these the government directives to slash the food prices will be a little bit difficult and is a temporal solution.
Yes.
So now, what long-term strategies can be implemented to improve food security and reduce inflation in Nigeria, especially in food prices?
You see, one critical element is haulage. We must invest more on rural access roads. That is one, is very critical. Then number two, you must relieve farmers because we pay a lot of taxes on haulage. It's very, very critical. Number 3, the farm inputs is critical. I keep mentioning it. It's the most critical aspect of it. Sometimes, let me tell you there, 1 hectare of farm, you may apply fertilizer more than twice before harvest. And look at the cost. So farmers are counting losses on a daily basis. So government should come in to grant the farmers subsidy, especially in fertilizer. If I can do that for fuel, do the same thing for fertilizer. Then number 2, we must have open access to farm inputs. Yes, we will welcome partners across the world. Okay, if they have a good deal, we can work with them. Whereas if we found out it's expensive, there's no need. But we keep saying this to the federal government and all those stakeholders concerned. If the farm inputs are expensive, you are putting the farmers out of business. And the next thing is government will say, okay, let us begin to import. So these areas, they are very, very critical for government to succeed.
All right, as part of the All Farmers Association, what is your assessment of the National Food Security Council's role? Is it effective or just symbolic at this point?
You have said it now. If I use the popular Nigerian language, if I know they there, I know they there. Okay? It is, well, it's symbolic because, government will want to, announce it to, to the masses that, yes, we are doing well. We are doing our part, but beyond, the rhetorics, there's a need for, a proper communication channel. What do I mean? Bring in, if you invite AFAN, for instance, I'll say, okay, AFAN, we need your members like 20. Yes, we'll go with the rice farmers and other commodity association members. Let us sit down, let us have a round table. It should be something that should be holistic. When that is done, and I assure you that we have, we have people that are passionate about this country, and it's not just me saying that there's government pronouncement. No, there should be a modality in place to ensure that whatever communication from the federal government goes down well as is expected. Remember, we're here in the nation's capital talking. You don't know what is happening as far as Kebbi. You don't know what is happening in Akwanga. You don't know what's happening in Ijebu and all these other places. We step down this information. And what about the local farmer in the villages who, survive on farming?
They don't
have access to the media. They don't have access to the radio or TV, but they are waiting for information that comes through our association. That is why our association has a very critical role to play, because we have them as cooperatives in various wards under the local governments. Then we have the associations at the state level. So with this synergy, we have over 103,000, personnel across the nation serving the farmers and associations. So if you have these numbers, it's very easy for you to deploy information and resources to the grassroots. And when you do that, all these things about food insecurity, inflation, will be a thing of the past.
All right, so with this directive, it mentioned working with major food commodity traders and millers. So how can the government improve transparency and accountability when it comes to, food distribution chain, especially when partnering with large private stakeholders?
Very good question. We have tried some of these interventions in the past through the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and all that. Did it go down well? They will tell you they have a register. Even the Federal Ministry of Agriculture claims, yes, they have a register. No, you see, you are dealing directly with an organized group. And the only way you can hear feedback is through the organized group, because we have associations, we have cooperatives. If there's going to be an intervention, maybe through funding or farm inputs, it's very, very easy You go through our database, punch it. Okay, I want to deliver to Cabo local government 1 trailer load of fertilizer. We have our members there to receive this on behalf of the farmers, and they know how well to utilize whatever is being brought forward. But you're here at the nation's capital, it's okay, we have deployed this, we have deployed that, we have carried that intervention. They say 5 million people are benefiting from, the federal government scheme and all that. Where are they? I keep asking these questions, but whereas we are entrusted to carry out this on behalf of the federal government, we'll say, okay, go through it. You will see it clearly. People will be raising it and tell you, oh, we got it. And we, at the same time, will generate information for you through the media. This thing is done successfully. There's no quarrel. Whereas you don't have that, it's still going back to the old school, how we used to sit down in our office, call our friends, call our family members, call our wives, relations. Years they say, okay, this, after all, you supported us in winning this election. After all, it's the time for us to support you. And you give them a little fraction, let them go home, share among themselves. Yes, we have carried out intervention. Well, I've seen that happen sometimes, some years ago in Kano. You just, they brought in a camera crew. Okay, they gathered some people in one local school, take photos. They're handing them one bag of rice. Oh yes, this is federal government intervention. Is put, this thing is shown to the federal government. Yes, no. You see, we are beyond that. We shouldn't do something to hurt the economy the more. We should be very, very transparent. And to achieve that transparency, I'm not asking and I'm not begging, but it is something that is doable by working with an association that is fully recognized all over the world. With over 15 million people, with the right leadership, you'll go home to sleep.
All right. Thank you very much, Ibrahim Garba, the National Publicity Secretary of the All Farmers Association. Thank you so much.
Nigeria.
Of Nigeria.
Keep mentioning Afan.
Of Nigeria. Thank you very much for being here on Daybreak.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Garba.
My pleasure.
Thank you for sharing your insights with us.
My pleasure.
All right. With that, we've come to the end of this segment.